Florida has nearly 1.7 million vacant homes, more empty houses than any other state in America. Yet builders keep constructing thousands more each month, creating modern ghost towns across the Sunshine State. Here's the shocking proof. Florida ended January 2025 with 172,209 homes for sale, the highest inventory level on record since tracking began in 2012, representing a staggering 22.7% increase from just 1 year earlier. Meanwhile, home prices in Florida were down 3.2% compared to last year, selling for a median price of $409,800, and the number of homes sold was down 8.8% year over year. But here's what nobody's talking about. Why are builders still frantically constructing new homes when existing inventory is piling up like never before? The answer reveals a perfect storm that's creating empty neighborhoods across Florida, and it's about to get much worse. Let me show you the numbers that should terrify every home buyer and investor in Florida right now. Florida ended January with 172,209 homes for sale, the highest inventory of any month in records dating back to 2012. That's up 22.7% from a year earlier. But this isn't just about raw numbers, it's about what's sitting empty. According to recent analysis, 60.6% of Florida inventory was stale at the end of November, having been sitting on the market for at least 60 days by the end of the same month. That is up from 50.6% stale inventory in November 2023, which is 10 percentage points up from last year. Think about that. More than 6 out of every 10 homes for sale in Florida are just sitting there, unwanted, for months at a time. The situation is so severe that Tampa took the top spot among the top 50 metros for the highest year-over-year increase in stale inventory. A total of 56.9% of listings in November in the city were on the market for at least 60 days without being sold, up 12.3% compared to a year earlier. Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, and West Palm Beach all saw similar double-digit increases in homes sitting empty for 60-plus days. Here's where the story gets really wild. Despite record inventory levels, builders can't stop building. Why? Because they're trapped in a vicious cycle of their own making. A real estate analyst recently toured builders' sites across Florida and discovered something shocking. Builders offering 4.7% mortgage rates for a 30-year term, with houses priced at $150 per square foot. That's desperation pricing. Industry experts report that builders are getting this aggressive in Florida and other parts of the U.S. because they have a pileup of unsold inventory sitting on their lots. The numbers tell the story. Newly built homes make up about 30% of the overall inventory, double the historic share. These aren't just a few unsold houses. We're talking about entire subdivisions sitting empty. According to industry data, months of supply for new single-family homes rising to 9.5 months in October, more than double the level of existing single-family supply of 4.2 months. But here's the real kicker, and this is what's creating true ghost towns across Florida. The insurance crisis isn't just making homes expensive, it's making them literally unlivable for middle-class families. In just the last 5 years, homeowners' insurance premiums in Florida have increased as much as 400%. Let me put that in perspective. If you were paying $2,000 annually for home insurance in 2019, you could now be paying $10,000 per year. The current data is even more staggering. The average annual cost for $300,000 dwelling coverage reaching $5,376 statewide. For many homeowners, that's more than their property taxes. But it gets worse. The average cost of homeowners insurance in Florida in 2024 is $8,770. This figure surpasses the national average of $2,423, making Florida insurance costs nearly 4 times the national average. This has created what analysts call an insurance exodus. Value Penguin's study shows Florida's property insurance has increased 72% in the last 5 years, with the number of homeowners who can't get coverage through private insurers going up 400%. The result? Some homeowners are choosing to self-insure, going completely without coverage rather than pay the astronomical premiums. For years, Florida benefited from massive migration from high-tax states like New York, California, and Illinois. But that golden goose is dying. Florida saw net domestic migration of plus 64K in 2024, compared to plus 314,000 in 2022. That's nearly an 80% drop in new residents coming to Florida. Why the reversal? It's simple math. Without that higher influx of deep-pocketed buyers from up north, Florida home prices have had to rely more on local incomes. And local incomes can't support $400,000 median home prices, plus over $8,000 annual insurance costs. The migration data reveals the truth. Florida is no longer the affordable paradise it once marketed itself as. When a middle-class family from Ohio realizes they'll pay more for insurance alone in Florida than their entire mortgage payment back home, the math stops working. While single-family homes struggle, Florida's condo market is in complete freefall, and this is creating literal ghost buildings. Condo inventory in Florida was at an all-time high in January. The numbers are brutal. The condo and townhouse market faced more significant challenges in 2024. Sales numbers, according to the data released by Florida Realtors, decreased by 10.5% compared to the previous year. This was the lowest number of condo and townhouse sales we've seen for any year in Florida since 2010. But here's what's really driving condo owners to flee. Following the Surfside condo collapse in June 2021, which killed 98 people, Florida passed new structural safety rules requiring more inspections and additional funds for repairs to be set aside by the end of 2024. That has led to Florida HOAs issuing sky-high special assessments and monthly HOA fee increases to cover these costs. Imagine owning a $300,000 condo and suddenly receiving a $50,000 special assessment bill. It's happening across Florida, forcing mass sell-offs that flood the market with desperate sellers. Please take 2 seconds to help me out and hit the like and subscribe if you find this video interesting so far. Each like and subscribe helps support this channel and keeps us motivated to keep making you great content. Thank you. Now, let's continue. The crisis extends beyond homeowners to the rental market, creating empty apartment complexes and rental properties. Florida's Cape Coral-Fort Myers metropolitan area has the highest share of rental homes sitting vacant in the entire country, according to recent research. The report found that an average 15.3% of rental homes in Cape Coral-Fort Myers were vacant in 2023, up from 8% the year before. This isn't just about expensive rentals, it's about entire rental communities sitting empty because nobody can afford the combined cost of rent plus the other expenses of Florida living. Natural disasters are accelerating the abandonment of entire communities. Markets like Cape Coral and Punta Gorda, which were hard hit by Hurricane Ian in September 2022, saw thousands of damaged homes and the subsequent need for renovations. But here's the devastating reality. Many of these homes will never be rebuilt. Insurance payouts are either insufficient or non-existent. Property values have collapsed, and the cost of rebuilding to new hurricane standards is prohibitive. These aren't temporary evacuations, they're permanent abandonment zones where entire neighborhoods sit empty, slowly deteriorating into modern ghost towns. So why do builders keep building when nobody's buying? The answer lies in financial obligations and sunk costs. Most large builders have already purchased massive land parcels, obtained construction financing that requires completion, signed contracts with subcontractors and suppliers, made commitments to local governments for infrastructure improvements. High mortgage rates and inflation affect building costs. As a result, the number of new single-family homes being constructed has declined. However, strong demand remains in suburban markets due to hybrid work schedules. But that strong demand is largely artificial. It's builders desperately trying to move inventory with massive incentives, not organic buyer demand. Industry experts are sounding alarms about what's coming next. Leading real estate analysts have told industry publications that home values in certain Florida markets could drop by as much as 10% throughout 2025 as growing inventory meets dwindling demand. Cities such as Tampa, St. Petersburg, Sarasota, Punta Gorda, and Naples are likely to experience steep declines. But other analysts predict even worse outcomes. The real estate investment firm Narada wrote in a recent report that 3 Florida metropolitan areas were considered at very high risk of experiencing a downturn next year, with prices potentially dropping by as much as 15% in Gainesville, Palm Bay, Melbourne, Titusville, which is known as the Space Coast, and Lakeland, Winter Haven. For home buyers, this creates a complex opportunity mixed with significant risk. The opportunity: in April 2025, 10.3% of homes in Florida sold above list price, down 1.4 points year over year. There were only 33% of homes that had price drops, up from 31% of homes in April last year. Negotiating power is shifting dramatically to buyers. The risks: insurance costs that can equal or exceed mortgage payments, potential for significant price declines in 2025 and 26, client change making certain areas increasingly unlivable, HOA assessments and fees that can financially devastate owners. For investors, the math is even more challenging. Traditional rental income calculations break down when you factor in $8,000 plus annual insurance costs, potential special assessments, vacancy rates approaching 15% in some markets, declining property values. Not all of Florida is experiencing the same crisis. 8 of Florida's 31 metropolitan areas have active listings at record highs: Cape Coral, Deltona, Daytona Beach, Homosassa Springs, Lakeland, Northport, Sarasota, Ocala, Port St. Lucie, and the Villages. 5 out of 8 of those metros are on the coast, where homeowners often face higher natural disaster risk, insurance costs, and HOA fees. Miami remains relatively insulated due to international buyers and cash purchases, but even there, inventory levels for single-family homes in May of 2025 is currently at a balanced level of 6 months. Looking ahead, the fundamentals suggested this crisis will worsen before it improves. 1. Climate change impact. Increasing hurricane intensity and frequency will continue driving insurance costs higher and making coastal areas less desirable. 2. Demographic shift. Changing demographics by 2030 will eventually result in lower demand for new housing. 3. Economic reality. Local incomes cannot support current price levels combined with insurance costs. 4. Supply overhang. The massive inventory buildup will take years to clear, even with dramatically reduced new construction. Florida's housing market is experiencing a fundamental restructuring. The days of endless price appreciation driven by out-of-state migration are over. What we're witnessing isn't just a market correction, it's the creation of a new category of American ghost towns in what was supposed to be paradise. For potential buyers and investors, the message is clear. Proceed with extreme caution. The opportunity for deals exists, but so does the risk of catching a falling knife in a market where the fundamentals have permanently shifted. The empty houses dotting Florida's landscape aren't just statistics. They're a warning. In a state where the American dream was supposed to be affordable and achievable, the math no longer works for most families. And until insurance costs stabilize, climate risks diminish, or local incomes dramatically increase, those empty houses may remain empty for years to come. The question isn't whether you can buy a house in Florida, it's whether you can afford to keep it. If this video opened your eyes to Florida's housing crisis, please subscribe and share to stay informed, and watch this one as well.